Hello everybody, welcome back to Commonwealth. Flipper, a normal video for a change. I feel like I'm getting back in the groove, but let me tell you, everything is anything but normal right now. I feel like this is one of the craziest times. Somebody's shooting a gun over there, which is not uncommon for out here where I live. Somebody's weed eating over there. This is truly one of the craziest times that I can remember in reselling for all kinds of reasons. I want to get into that and also give y'all a thank you, plus some awesome sales. Let's go take a look. Reagan was just here a minute ago. I thought we might get to say hi to her. I guess we will later in the video. She's been shipping some stuff out for merch stuff. And this is something I'll talk about later too. Let me just say, if you are feeling confused, frustrated, dismayed, feeling like you have a lack of direction, you're in a waiting pattern, you are absolutely not alone. We're gonna talk about that today. And again, a big thank you to you guys, and I'll explain what I mean in a minute. Here is this thing, y'all. I love finding things that have no comp. This had no comp. Ghost Spider. It is one of those, what do you call them? I guess a hard drive is what it is. External hard drive. There you go, gaming hard drive. Fire CUDA. But I found some comps that weren't the Ghost Spider one, and they looked good. And I'm like, this one is even cooler than that. Not just a Spider-Man or something. I'm like, I'm going to put it out there a little higher. And I did, and it sold fairly quickly, a couple weeks. $79.95 plus shipping. Paid $10 at a sale in Roanoke, Virginia. I guess my message is going to be twofold today. The first part, for those of you who do feel those things right now, because I'm getting a lot of messages about that kind of stuff across all the platforms, just take a deep breath. Everything's going to be okay. That I can assure you. I am loving finding some hats that are selling here. This one came from that one set. We sold a lot of these off over on Dibdit, where do we sell them off? Dibdit Threads. But I did save a few that I thought would be really good. I sold a bunch that I thought would be really good, but made in the USA wool. Somebody asked me the other day about hats, and it's like, they asked me on the Picker channel, and they said, I wish you would stop in the video and explain to people why you're buying this hat and not buying that hat and whatever. And there is a method to the madness. I'm not perfect at it. I screw it up all the time, as Chernox Connection will tell me in a video every once in a while. But I'll give you one little hint right here if you're not an experienced hat buyer. The first little hint is be cautious and don't pay too much, for sure. And there are some things that can lead people astray. But if you see those old tags right there, look at that. That's not a new tag. Diamond, New Era, 5950 Pro model, but it's made in the USA wool. This is an old hat. So I know by looking at that that's an old logo for the Devil Rays as opposed to the Rays. And so I would know to pick that one up. But if you don't know, use your phone, comp it out, figure it out. This one we paid less than $1. We bought a whole ton of hats in a big lot. This one sold for $30 plus shipping. Now there really are some things changing very quickly, and like I said, I don't think it's anything to be scared of. But for my mind, it's like, oh my gosh, this, and there's companies out there making moves. There's big changes. eBay itself seems like every day I see something. It's like, this is a little different. I even saw, what did I see today? An AI message response thing came across my messages. I'm like, oh my gosh, here we go. We're going to have AI responding to my customers. Do I want to allow that, not allow it, allow it for some things, not allow it for others? We talked about these AI listers. We've talked about the changes. Y'all, there are changes coming that you don't even know about yet, that I've started. Grapevine kind of stuff. I'm just like, this is nuts. A lot of it is very exciting. But even things that I think are going to be great and things that I think will move a lot of us resellers who have been doing this for a while, maybe just starting, can ramp up and grow your businesses. There's some trepidation with some of it. There's some anxiety with some of it. And let me tell you, I feel that. I know you guys don't know me personally, but I feel that probably as much or more than anybody. Always have. Change has always been difficult for me. And I wish I could push it all back and shove it all back in the bottle and all that. But I'm consciously choosing to embrace the fact that there's going to be change and put a positive spin on it. Is it always going to be positive? No, it's not going to be positive all the time. But for those people who choose consciously to reject everything and to be woe is me, I promise you it won't be positive for those folks. Speaking of frustrated, I just spent 5 minutes looking for this briar horse that sold on Bonanza when I was gone and could not find it. And then I went and I looked again, and it's like, that shows it was already shipped. So big thank you to Jess. Jess did some shipping while we were away, which is amazing. I was able to keep that store open. So thank you, Jess, if you're listening, for shipping that briar horse. Here it is right here, sold on Bonanza. I have another Bonanza sale, though. I'm going to show you that one. And this will kind of lead into the conversation. I grabbed this one here. To kind of what I want to talk about here in just a second. This is, I sell on Bonanza, but I do not suggest other people sell on Bonanza. I've gone into it before in detail, but I'm not going to do that this time. I'll just say that because I've had a link to Bonanza for years and years, I have a ton of coins, like a ton, that allows me to still sell over there for a while. Eventually they'll run out, and their new system is just not something I'm interested in. But anyway, this is a Red Sox New Era hat, and that one sold for $24.70. You'll notice the difference in the tags there. That is definitely not a vintage one. This one sold because it was a size 8. Those are hard to find. And definitely different tag there and here. This is really what you want to look for. Those old ones that are wool, but you know, size 8 does the trick. And then another one right here as well. This is the first time that I can ever recall having, I have to put my camera down for a minute. There we go. Having somebody buy 2 different items like that weren't exactly the same on Bonanza. It's a multiple order listing. I can't remember it ever happening. $21.78, total of $46.48 plus shipping for those 2 right there. So looking at that Bonanza sale right there and just thinking, you know, like I said, I don't suggest everybody go sell on Bonanza because I'm doing it, because it doesn't fit everybody's model, and their new fee structure and everything is just so wonky. And I actually have told people to stop selling over there. But that kind of gets to my point. And I just wanted to thank you, because I want this place to be, this show, this cabin, you guys, to be just an open forum. And if you notice, there's a lot of dissenting views and all kinds of stuff. In last video, at the end of the last video, I talked about list easier. And you know, I said, if this stuff's good, this stuff will sell itself. I'm not here to shill and to tell people. I mean, I shill, don't get me wrong. But I'm not here to tell people this is what you should do, because there are so many different methods, so many different ways, so many different types of reseller. And I really, truly mean that. And I was excited to read the comments. I was nervous because last time I talked about, you know, AI and whatever, I got a lot of people that unsubbed, and that's fine. I'm not here to put my, you know, reselling dogma on you and say this is the way. That is not what this channel is about. And I am all about hearing people's opinions. I just simply want to present different options, because there's just such a variety of resellers out there. And I want to be able to discuss those and to get feedback and to hear from you. I like getting your messages. And I was flattered by the way that people thought that I handled it. And that was really encouraging to me. I do believe that there is a segment, for instance, with this issue right here, a segment of resellers who should jump on this right now. And then there's a big segment of resellers who shouldn't. But I would encourage people to do one thing. Y'all see Turner out there? He's working on ball. Fall ball starting up here soon. It's something that I started to do when I started to feel overwhelmed with everything that's coming at me in different ways. And I feel like there's a lot of resellers out there. There's a lot of resellers that just want to be like, I just want to sell 20 things. I just want to sell something. You know, and I don't need to hear about this and that and whatever. And I get that. There's a lot of stress. There's a lot of indecision, you know, being undecisive at this point, and that's okay. Just take a deep breath. I knew this stuff was coming. It's still a lot more to come, and I'm just interested in reselling for a long, long time and doing what it takes to resell. But I purposely set out an hour every single day for a week straight. Now it's down to about a half an hour where I don't have a phone in my hand, where I'm not doing anything, and I can write things down. I can contemplate things. I can think about the direction I want to go. And I'm still mulling over a lot of that stuff. But because I purposely put in a little bit of time every day to really plan what I want to do, what I really want, what I think my business should be doing, a little bit of speculation into the future, a lot of research into what's going on, you know, I think there's a clear path forward for me, but I'm also very open to the fact that that path may change. And so when I talk about stuff like this, and there'll be more stuff coming out in the near future from different platforms, different places, eBay itself, that a lot of it I'm not going to like, but I still have to digest it, and I still have to make a decision. I would really encourage you, and it's tough for a lot of you, like, I already worked 50 hours a week, and I spend 20 on eBay, and I don't have time to think. Well, I'll tell you what, I might do it anyways. And just really, what are my goals? Where do I want to go with this? What are the best steps forward to carve out more personal time for me, my family, to make more money for this goal, that goal? And even if it's 10 minutes where you sit down in a chair somewhere and just contemplate this stuff, think about this stuff. Or maybe it's, hey, I'm going to do research on this. You know, I heard Commonwealth Picker talk about list Eeasier, and, you know, he said it wasn't for everybody, but I'm going to see if this is for me or if it's not for me. And a lot of people out there, they're using different programs, and everybody gets all bent out of shape. Like, I do this, but he said do this, and this, and everybody starts fighting. It's just not worth it, y'all. It is absolutely not worth it. I am going to do my very best to say, hey, this is what I'm doing. This is what I think is best if this is your model. If you say no, fine. It's perfectly fine with me. And that's what I want this channel to be about. I want it to be an open forum. I don't want it to be a place where there's this reselling dogma that ties people down, that ruins people's goals. You know, I've heard people say things like, hey, I want to sell, I'll just pick something, pipes, for instance. And I'm going to specialize in pipes. And this is going to be my side gig, and this is going to be my business. And then I've heard other people say, oh, niching down is so dumb. And it's like, well, look at this. I'm doing all this in like 10 hours a day, or 10 hours a week, and I'm making this much money. Listen, there are so many ways to do this. I just don't think it's fair for us to put our ideas onto other people. I think it's great to discuss it. You know, I always say, as iron sharpens iron, so one man sharpens another. I want that to be this place where you don't have to think a certain way to come in here. You can tell me I'm full of it. And plenty of people do, including my wife. Yeah, I was so excited about the response on the last video. Not all positive, but so many people are open to saying, you know what, I'm going to take a deep breath. I'm going to cautiously move forward in the direction that fits my lifestyle, that fits my reselling goals. Y'all, I had to do this really quick. Before I forget, I sold, Grandpa's here mowing the grass. Turner said, can you mow the front yard first? Grandpa said, how many years before it's your job to mow the grass? Won't be long. And the pups are here. Skylander lots. This one I had listed on eBay, but I took it down. I saw Dave looking for his son, ADH Dave. His son wanted some Skylanders for some purpose, I don't know what. And I said, hey, I got some. And I gave him a deal on them, and I'm going to ship them to him. Gave him a great deal on it. You're welcome. But I don't want to forget to do that, so I grabbed that first. We've made tons of money on that Skylander lot. Tons. So this is just a little profit because we gave him a great deal. You know, there are so many channels out there, YouTube channels, you know, all over social media that really niche down, and they put content out that matches what they do. And that's what I do, but I just tend to do everything. And so I love this place being a clearinghouse for ideas, thoughts, opportunities. Just, you know, even, and I've said stuff before that I don't even agree with myself anymore. And, you know, I hear people used to say this, and I'm like, yeah, I did used to say that. Things change, and let me tell you, the acceleration of change can almost feel overwhelming to some folks, and I get that. So I just want to say, listen, I bet you if you didn't change anything, nothing, and continue doing the things the way you do them, you'll continue to find success. I just don't think that that's the best strategy to me, somebody who doesn't like change, is to slowly, incrementally, prudently, wisely make changes so that you don't wake up a year from now, 2 years from now, and feel one of two things. Either feel lost and like you missed the boat, or you feel like you've created something that you're no longer happy with. And so that's the way I view things. And you know, if you're if you're a clothing seller, then follow a clothing seller. But I want those people to be comfortable coming in here. And I'm just overwhelmed with how kind y'all are to me. And even those who disagree with me, I really do appreciate that. It keeps this as a lively exchanging, you know, place of exchanging ideas. Urkel, I bought this one. A lot of times the Urkels you find out there are too much money, because people are like, oh, that's cool, and then put a big price on it. This one wasn't too much, just cheap enough for me to buy it. I can't remember if I paid $5 or $10, knowing that, you know, I don't normally buy $10 items to flip them into $25 items, but I do all the time for $5 items. But this one was in great shape. I'm like, I think I can get 25. And that's what we did, 25 plus shipping. I just like the idea of having the freedom to talk about certain things and to explore them on here without having a bunch of people just get ticked off at me and leave. And there was a bunch of people who did when I first started bringing up some of these changes out there. And I just think, to me, that's foolish. And I just said, you know what, I'm going to continue to do this. That video where I did that, the last video, it might have something to do with the fact that my wife's in the thumbnail and she was in the video. But that, I've gained more subs on that video right there than just about any video I've put out in a long time. So welcome to all the new folks, and that's kind of where we'd like to be here. And feel free to chime in anytime in the comments. I leave them up there, even if they go against them. Well, there's a few things I'll take down, depending on what they are. This is a vintage trunk lock, and I'm like, can't even remember how it works. I did it when I listed it, but this one sold for $24.95. Plus shipping. You know, if you're not new, if you've watched me for a long time, you know the old teacher comes out on me, and I'm very careful with my words. Like, for instance, so I talked about List Easier. I'm like, this is a massive opportunity for some folks, and it truly is. But it might be right now as it's presently formulated with, you know, the smallest plan being 1,000 listings. It may not be right for a big majority of this audience. It's why I said, hey, I'm going to advocate, and I have been, and we're getting closer to having a much smaller plan for people who have no desire to list 1,000 things a month. And you might think that's a ton, but I've seen, depending on how you buy, I said, hey, look, this is who it's for. It really truly is for people who are trying to ramp up their business, who buy in lots, who have similar type items that they can do, because that's where you get the big giant bang for your buck. And it may not be for everybody in the audience. Hopefully it's for more and more people. Look at that. I think that one's new, or at least very close to it. It's a Longaberger purse. They don't go for a ton. I would kind of compare them to like Vera Bradley type prices. One sold for $15 plus shipping. I think it went to a viewer, and I'll read that comment. But let me finish that. I said, hey, you know, before I introduce this, because it's now available for everybody, I said, you know, if you list 20, 30, 50, 100 things a month, and you don't have a desire to scale that up to 400, 500, whatever, then this is not going to be worth the money. I'm not interested in spending people's money so I get a little sliver of a kickback. I don't want that. It gives me a bad reputation. People don't trust me. And so I'm not going to do that. For right now, I really think that program, there's all kinds of other stuff going on right now, but that one in particular, I firmly believe that that's the direction I'm headed. But I'm also in that range where I list 300, 400, 500, 600 items a month sometimes, and I'd like to grow that or maintain it and just claw back the time that it took. And it's not going to work for everything. You know, I have got a box of purses out there, like a giant box, probably got 30 purses. And to be able to batch those up and already have something set and just put all the pictures in, have the listings done, and then go in and change the prices is something that I'm excited about. Or that record buy that I had, you know, I wouldn't normally buy a record buy like that, but I had the opportunity. I knew I could sell them off on Dibdit and whatever. But now I have another option, which is to set up a template for records and literally list 100 at a time. And I could probably list that in a day. I could probably list 400. There's 440 records. I could probably list that in a day. I yap so much, I almost forgot to thank Geraldine. I am a viewer, watch a lot of your videos. Well, I appreciate that very much. I hope you enjoy that purse. And some of you may think, oh, that guy's a teacher. He's probably a quick learner or whatever. I'm anything but. I was a poor student. You know, I talk about listing 400 something things in a day. I'm a long way from that because I got to learn this stuff. But I'm going to make adaptations. I know that sold too. Cars 2 sold. Not for a bunch of money, but PS3 game. Cars 2 sold for $9.50. Plus shipping. There's another example of the kind of thing that would really work with that. If you're a completely one-off seller all the time and you're not even buying things in bulk, then it really doesn't make sense as much for you to do something like that. It's the same thing I used to talk about with all the cross-listing stuff out there. I'm like, make sure this is right for you. Don't go spending your money in places that's not right for you. And I had a lot of people say, well, you know, I already used this cross lister. We do list perfectly down below. There's always that right there. And I was commenting to some people, sending me messages. They say, hey, I use this cross lister or this cross lister. And I'm like, how do you list? You got to make those decisions, because I list with my phone, and some of those don't work as well with your phone. You have to adapt how you're going to do it if you're going to use it. This is a computer-based system that is going to be an app-based system, but it's not a cross lister. And it's like, can I still use this in cross? Yeah, well, you could list it all to eBay and then import it into your cross lister. If you use List Perfectly or whatever, import it into List Perfectly and then cross list from there. And then there's some people who use different programs that do all of it. They have the AI, but it's singular. It goes quicker, but it's a single item at a time. That may be right for some folks, but I'm just saying, hey, for this type of person who does this, this, and this is perfect for you. I happen to check 2 of those 3 boxes. I don't check the list from a computer box, but I'm going to start to adapt to make that a part of my business. But I also do tons of one-offs and things that you don't find often. And so I'll probably just do the same thing I've always done. Bring out my camera, my phone, snap a picture, and list the dang thing. Reselling isn't as complicated as we make it sometimes. It's just there's different people with different goals that these things fit. And so I'm going to advocate for much smaller plans on that particular thing. I talk to these folks because of you guys, by the way. It is insane to me that some guy in the shed in his backyard gets to do this, and I'm eternally grateful to y'all. Florida State Seminoles, that seat cushion. I've bought so much of this stuff in the past, and it just sits and sits and sits, but this one was in great shape. And it sold. It didn't sell for a bunch though. 35 bucks, I think is what it sold for. It sold for $34.95 plus shipping. I want this shed to be a place where we can talk all the time. And for all you pro resellers, been doing it for 20 years, 30 years, whatever. I've been doing it for 20. Man, I might be coming up on 25. eBay's celebrating 30. So I got to be at least celebrating 25. But I want all of the folks and the people that sell far more than me, that scale far more than me, the people out there in warehouses selling 1,000 things, 2,000 things a month. I want you to come in and chime in, and I want grandma who sells 10 items a month and jewelry out of a drawer in her bedroom to come in and chime in here as well. So thank y'all. You guys are always awesome to me. The Lily Bloom purse. This one sold, I think, for more than the... Yeah, this one, Lily Bloom, goes a little bit better. $19.95. That's a nice purse, plus shipping. And don't feel like you're going to miss out on something, because everybody seems to be going this direction. Sometimes going the other direction can benefit you as well, but I do see people who do nothing but say media. And they are definitely going this direction and in a hurry. There'll also be repercussions that aren't necessarily good for some folks. I'm very aware of that as well. I hear those complaints all the time. But like I said, we're not putting the genie back in the bottle here. So you got to figure out where you want to go, which I think that taking that time to breathe and think about where you want to go is important, because it'll either pay dividends or it'll drag you back over the coming years. I still believe, though, y'all, we are living in an era where if you are a reseller right now, you know what you're doing. You're able to make some of these decisions right now. That's, man, I'm seeing some people change their lives. Like, I hate to say quit their jobs, because I don't encourage people to go quit your job. This is, not easy to make a living at. If it wasn't for the social media part of it, I could make a living, but it wouldn't, it wouldn't include 2 vacations to the beach every year. I promise you that. Don't tell Blue Ridge Mama. Somebody told me the other day I was a hypocrite because, well, I'll tell you in a minute. This is a Gore CD, and it sold for $24.99 plus shipping. I do almost regret going through and individually listing all those like I did, because I would love to use that to teach myself this new system. But somebody called me out on the Trash to Cash podcast. By the way, thank you if you joined us for our 200th live episode. That was fun over there. I'm saying that in advance because I'm actually recording it tonight. But anyway, you get the point. I said something like, Dave was like, oh yeah, my kids are watching this new demon hunter thing and whatever. I'm like, you let your kids watch the demon stuff? I was just giving them a hard time. They're like, oh, it's so hypocritical that you could say that to Dave and then you sell Gore CDs. I have no idea who Gore is, y'all. I'm sorry. I'm sure they're not wholesome. They're anything but by looking at it. It says parental advisory. So I guess I am a hypocrite a little bit. Dave is a very good dad, for sure. And we just give each other grief over there. That's all it was. Hulkamania. Look at this. This is the last one. I didn't get to show you the previous 5 because they all sold while I was on vacation, but I put it in that video. And that is the very last one, y'all. $12.95 plus shipping. We had a ton of them. We did really well. I bought those over on Shop Commons a few months back, and we sold a few here and there, and then he passed, and we sold them all. I think that's my last Hulk item. People ask me why that one hadn't sold. It's because it's not for sale. Rod Picking and Punching gave me that one. So $12.95 plus shipping. This whole process on this channel gets, because I always refer to this stuff. And, you know, your business is your business. It's not my business. And everybody's is a little different. And I thoroughly enjoy looking at all the different models. I have all these reselling buddies. You see them on my videos. Sometimes we go hang out. And every single one of us does things differently. And some of us do things a little different. And some of us do things completely different. And we don't agree on stuff at all. And they're still my buddies. And hopefully I'm still their buddy. And that's the way I want this place to be. A place that all resellers are kind of comfortable being. It reminds me of something we used to do. Oh, I might bore you with this. I might put this in the next video. Takes me back to my history teaching days. And to have a complete understanding of something. I didn't want the cursory, you know, teacher stuff where it's like, okay, here's your vocabulary words, or here's your people you need to know for history, or here's your dates. I would make them surround whatever it was they were studying. In other words, they had to know, and this seems really, really hard, and they thought it was hard too, but once they got it, they realized, hey, I'm not just memorizing something, I'm understanding something. And they would have to look at, let's just take a historical figure, I don't know, Julius Caesar. And they could not give me just a plain definition of who Julius Caesar was. I said, you need to surround this thing. And I'm like, what are you, what's this crazy old dude talking about? Of course, I wasn't old back then. But that really gave them perspective. And we took much smaller chunks of, you know, I wouldn't say, hey, here's your 75 terms you need to know. And they'd memorize this stuff and forget it. What's the point? You know, because we all did that in school. We all just had a cursory understanding of something. But in the end, we understood nothing. And so I didn't want that to happen. And that's kind of how I think reselling is. Where a lot of us know bits and pieces about what we know, but we don't know so much, and other people do. And that's why I want all the voices to be here and leave your comments and have dialogue. Like cassettes, for instance. I've been told for years, cassettes are a waste of time. Don't even look at them because you're missing out on something else. The opportunity cost of looking at VHS was not worth it. And, you know, some people, you might be right. Let me tell you. I'm excited. I wish I would have kept a lot of the cassettes that I've bought in the past because they're going for more money now than I put a good price on these, to be honest with you. And I could have done a better job of narrowing down. Like, for instance, this has a Cyndi Lauper in it and a Huey Lewis in the News and a Sting. And, you know, it's also got Kiss, AC/DC, Molly Hatchet, Kicks. You know, I could have put, you know, the Carpenters is in here, for goodness sake. You know, I could have put it in better lots and got a higher ROI for it. But I am in sell-off mode, which brings me to something I want to talk about. Maybe I'll talk about it on the next episode. George Thorogood, the Georgia Satellites, ZZ Top, Alice Cooper, Best of Bread. There's some good ones in here. I think there's like 18 of these. I think that's right. $40 plus shipping. I guess this kind of applies to this video, so I'll just say it here. You know, taking time to think about what I'm going to do in the future and what I've even contemplated, I've said this over a few videos, not doing videos in here anymore because the scaling of my business, the money that's being generated from the reselling is growing. And not just a little bit. And if I implemented what we've talked about, List Easier, and doing some of the things I'm planning on doing, and also already making the change to doing some live selling and some static selling, you know, has increased my business and the amount of stuff I can buy. So I've already made some of those changes, but I've contemplated making more of those changes. I've decided not to give up this channel. I like it too much. I think it's important. Not that I'm important, but, well, that sounds really bad, doesn't it? And I do generate money from this channel. I didn't mean to make it sound quite like that, but in one sense, it's important for me because I was a teacher for 20-some years, and communicating with people and talking to people out there has been a big part of my life, and I feel like I could do that on the Commonwealth Picker channel and garage sales and stuff, but I can really do it here, and I answer people's questions, and I can get in there and get to know people and really have my finger on the pulse, if you will, and I really enjoy that. And I don't want to give it up. I really would much rather do, like, for instance, you know, when I added, you hear Grandpa mowing out here, I'm sorry. He's on the side of the shed right here, so if he runs into it, don't get mad at him. I'll wait a second. That actually strangely connects to what I'm going to say here. You know, when I decided to be a live seller on Dibdit and all the Dibdit marketplaces, which a lot of crazy, exciting stuff's going on over there. Some of it's just passed, so you just missed it, but we got a lot of stuff going on. And I think, is it Thursday? Is this the right day we're giving this thing away over there on Polish and Brush? Anyway, come on over and join us. You don't have to buy a darn thing. Just come in and hang out. I get to talk to people in there. I respond to people in the chat. Some of that stuff is live. But I got Jess to do that, and I know I'm going to take a much smaller margin doing that, but it allows me to expand my business without kind of exterminating all the free time in my life. Same thing with this. My dad mows my grass, which is amazing because this takes forever to mow. And so for me, it's like, hey, I could do that. I could definitely do that. If he wants to do it, and I take care of my mom. I do different things for them. And I'm like, this is amazing. And it's been so nice to have him here, and he's so helpful. And for those of you who don't think we return the favor, trust me, we do. And it's just been so nice, and it's allowed me to keep expanding things. And so time savers are something I'm always looking for. And I am going to do something that I don't think I ever thought I would do, which is I'm going to do a marathon sale at some point. That trailer out there is a big part of my plans. Maybe another vehicle. I have a small trailer as well in the wintertime. And maybe a little bit this wintertime and a lot going forward, because I'm kind of trying to figure out where things are going in reselling and for my business. And so I have that trailer full of stuff out there, and I don't want it full of stuff. And we're going to bring it in, and we're going to sell it. And we're going to sell it. We're going to use these programs to list more on eBay and to sell live. And it's going to free space up for me so that the buying and selling is a much quicker turnaround. That doesn't work for everybody. It's not what everybody needs, but that's the direction I'm heading. I don't know how long it'll take me to get there because I have a slow learning curve. And I got to learn a bunch of stuff. But thank you for being along for the ride. I really do appreciate you. I'm going to do one more right here. This Harley book sold. And this one is, I paid $5 for it. I did not want to pay $5. I would like to pay like $1 for these. But I paid $5 for this one because it's a Harley one, service manual. And I'm like, this got to go for at least 20. I'll just throw it in my pile. And we got 25 for it. So this is the kind of thing I like to buy in bulk. You know, see a whole ton of these sitting there and buy a ton of them, even though some of them are losers, but it's not a loser when you're dealing with Harley stuff. A lot of the other ones are losers, though. You got to be careful. $24.95 plus shipping. Reagan's here, which means the dogs are probably at the door. Come on. And we did have a couple of merch items to sell. Reagan, what's sold?
Elizabeth got a Shop Commons bag, and Melanie and Ro both got Enema Man ball markers.
Enema Man ball markers. Check them out. Only available on dibditsports.com. Only $5.99, and we're giving $1 of it to charity as well. That one's going to Isaiah House. I'm sorry, pup. Anyway, thank you, Reagan.
Bye, and don't forget to get your stickers at CommonwealthPicker.com.
All right, Pop is in the backyard, and the boys are playing ball over there, so they may be coming in here pretty quick. And I think I'm going to say goodbye, and thank y'all, as always, for joining us. Thank you for all the subs. You guys overwhelm me. Very, very nice. Thank y'all for being nice to my family, to my wife. I almost never see negative comments about different things like that, and a lot of trolls out there that like to do that. And I'm just so happy with the folks that watch this channel and watch all the content everywhere. You guys are very kind to me. And come on and join us over on Dibdit. It should be fun. All the stuff that's going on. We got tons of stuff in store for folks, and tons of $1 offers and giveaways and fun days, and I just love to chat with you over there. But thank you again, as always. I hear my dad out there singing. He puts his headphones on and sings song from the 60s. I love it. Anyway, thank y'all. I can't wait to see you next.